It wasn't too long ago where they ruled pop culture. Now, audiences are tuning out, studios are scrambling, and the golden age might already be behind us. Hi guys, this is Max from OCD, and I'm here to talk about something a little close, near, and dear to my heart: superhero movies, or the genre in total, Marvel, DC, and whatever other franchises exist. Now, how did we get to this point? Let's break down a little bit of the rise, the fall, and hopefully the rise again, or whatever's next. It did begin a while back. It began in the 30s with comics, Superman, and then other comic books from DC, Marvel, and other IPs. But the real break, I think, would be Superman in 1978, where live action was, they made us believe a man could fly. Live action was finally to a point where there was enough effects, enough, I guess, money that could be put into a film to make the budget, I guess, strong enough to kind of display and showcase what the writers and directors could really think of or think up whenever they came to superhero movies. After that, there was a lot of, I guess you call them flops, between DC and Marvel. One of them, or a couple of them, being also Superman movies. There were some Batman movies that didn't do too good in the 90s. There was a couple of good ones, but when we really started seeing the true rise in superhero movies, where we could truly say there was hope or some sort of possible new beginning to these movies, was Blade. That movie showed that darker hero movies could work. It didn't just have to be all sunny day. It didn't have to be all smiles and laughter. It could also be cool. It could also be dangerous, exciting, and, like I mentioned, dark. The next versions were the X-Men and Spider-Man. X-Men was, in my opinion, awesome. I didn't like the fact that they had to use the 90s / early 2000s cool black uniforms instead of using colorful, or at least more accurate to the hero's costume uniform. But it laid the groundwork where you could tell a story with multiple heroes and multiple villains, and make it feel grounded, make it feel real, make it feel like it could happen in your backyard. That includes Spider-Man as well. Spider-Man with Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire. It showed not just the audience, it showed the studios, it showed the investors that these movies can make money, and they will make money. And it was kind of like a bubble, similar to the tech bubble, where everybody just started trying to get into it. Now, with better CG, better studio, better effects, bigger audiences that, like Spider-Man and Superman, can reach everyone in the world. It's a universal superhero. These became events. They were more of events where people spoke about them for months, maybe even years ahead of time of release. People waited outside of the movie theaters. People bought tickets months ahead of time, and it was more like, hey man, are you gonna go see that new MCU movie? Or hey, are you gonna go see that new Spider-Man movie? I heard this, I heard that. And a lot of YouTube theory videos became popular at that time, and it just led to a universal jump in what we could call pop culture with superheroes, which was a real game changer. But it wasn't until the MCU where the universes were kind of, I guess, shared into massive team-ups, beginning with the Avengers, and then after that a couple more Avengers movies, including, in my opinion, the peak of all superhero movies in DC, Marvel, everything, was Avengers Endgame in 2019. That movie was not only a box office juggernaut, it was a cultural milestone. Everybody knows who Thanos is. Everybody knows that Iron Man died and why he died, and it was such a great moment in time where I think everybody, all the fans of that genre, of this genre, were united in truly understanding and enjoying the movies. I understand that before Endgame there was a lot of I guess you could say disconnect, or not, maybe not disconnect, but there was a lot of anger at a lot of the previous movies, especially like in DC, where the quality wasn't as great as the MCU had been at that point, where they basically kind of try to keep up or catch up to the MCU, and just made a lot of bad decisions in storytelling and choosing the characters they wanted to tell the stories about, and in budgets that were too large and I don't know how to put it without sounding mean, but they basically undeserving of those budgets for those movie makers, writers, directors, actors, studio, whatever it happens to be. Now, after 2019 with Endgame, it feels to me that's when things started going a little wrong, I guess you could say. There was big budget bloating, like The Flash, which was a flop, huge budgets. A lot of the streaming TV shows, especially on Disney Plus, huge budgets for horrible storytelling, terrible CG. It makes you wonder where this money went, which I'd like to say it's money laundering, but I could be wrong. Speaking of streaming, a lot of the streaming, especially like I said, Disney Plus, but no one's innocent of this. Netflix, HBO Max, all of these different streaming content streamers, they were gnawing to get the most shows, the most movies as on their format, on their property, in order to undermine all the other streaming sites, especially Netflix, because they may have not started the streaming wars, but they didn't just have a foot in the door, they were the door. So they tried really hard to get quantity over quality, which really showed. A lot of it also happened to do with as much as people don't want to admit it, a lot of toxic fandom. I understand, and trust me, I will speak my mind. If I don't like a movie, I will trash it. I've been called a hater. I know, I understand. But a lot of the times, especially like in the Superman that just actually came out this week, there's a lot of streamers, a lot of creators, a lot of content makers that just before the movie came out, they're basing their opinion on trailers and images, still images, and they just trashed it. They didn't even give it a chance. So sometimes, because sometimes movies can be horrible and sometimes they deserve to be trashed, but in this case, they were not giving the movie the correct chance, or the most, I guess, the best chance that it could have, without them promoting such, basically, that it was garbage. I haven't seen the movie as of the recording of this video. It comes out this week, but I don't think that movies like Superman or other movies deserve to be talked down before they're even out. I understand that there's a lot of high expectations, and there has been a lot of backlash from other previous movies, especially on DC side, and now more coming a lot more on Marvel side. But we should at least give them a chance in order for them to be able to keep making these movies and hopefully make them better and more to our standards that we've become, especially after the last couple of Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame, especially after the quality of those movies, top notch. They're chasing trends more than they're worried about the storytelling. It's like I said earlier about trying to catch up and keep up. It doesn't seem like they're worried about the same things that they used to be worried about, where, like in Iron Man 1, the suits, the CG, the effects, the sound, the storytelling was great, and a lot of those movies from then on were amazing as well. There were a couple of duds, but for the most part, they cared. They let the directors / writers, creators have a little more power, but it just seems like now they have to make $1 billion, 500 million, whatever it is, just to make sure that they can keep the studio pumping them out. And when they start prioritizing the wrong things, like budget, like box office and I guess culture wars, it just becomes obvious, and it's clear to the audience that it's not about them or the audience at that point anymore. COVID-19 killed a lot of the momentum especially from Endgame in 2019 to 2020. There were a lot of delayed projects, a lot of canceled projects, a lot of projects that were just completely just basically died because of COVID-19. And ever since then, I think ever since 2020 or that time period, nothing has been the same, not only with the superhero movies, but with most of Hollywood, most of the film industry in general. And you could still feel the lasting effects of that, like in Ironheart wasn't great, and some other TV shows and movies that were made during that time period that just feel like they're out of date now, out of touch. Another, I would say, a reason is that they're with the casts. The casts, in my opinion, it's really cool to see, like in the new upcoming Avengers movies in a couple of years, the X-Men come back, the original Avenger, or most of the original Avengers, Tony Stark, or not, I guess in this case, Doctor Doom, Tony Stark, or RDJ, whatever you want to call him. It's cool to be able to see these connecting characters come back, and you know, your especially in my age, it's cool to see characters from your childhood still going at it and coming back at this. It's like a comic book or like a cartoon where they don't age, they stay the same age, but you know, we're humans obviously, and we do age, and you could tell that Hugh Jackman's not going to be Hugh Jackman forever. He cannot be ripped forever, but it's cool to see them come back and do the similar role, and it's cool because you feel like the actors themselves are entertained and like what they're doing. And another thing that's on the other side of that coin is that we need to see new characters. We need to see new casts, new artists, new writers, new creatives, because a lot of these older established creatives are just, it feels like they're just phoning it in, or they've lost touch of what really matters, or what really sells to an audience, not just to the studio. And to tie into that as well, the tastes, there, you know, some would say that because of apps like TikTok or like shorts, like YouTube shorts or Instagram short reels, the short form videos, streaming, I guess you could say, less attentive forms of media are more, I guess you could say they sell easier, which in a lot of ways they do, especially with children these days and the inevitability of the technology taking over everybody's mind, the iPad generation. Even me, I'm in my 30s and I love watching YouTube. I watch TikTok. I watch everything that, you know, that's out, but it is obvious that having these short form media content, it's not helping the long form like movies or TV shows or prestige TV shows. And another thing is that people are just changing tastes. People are going more towards animation, like anime, cartoons, CG movies. Horror is being doing very well in the last couple of years, and it's the budgets again with horror and all those other things are so much lower and so much easier to fit for whatever niche audience they're looking for. It was a perfect storm, and it just feels like the magic is fading. Audiences are aging, the world is in shambles, and it's changing very fast to where a movie that was made in 2022 or a TV show was made in 2022 is completely out of date, and it's just it's obsolete. And the genre, it feels like it's not moving fast enough or evolving fast enough, where we once had huge stakes like Robert Downey Jr. dying or kill, or being destroyed or whatever by the Infinity Stones, by a huge moral decision that he had to make, or where we saw that Captain America lived a full life and retired at old age. Those things just, it feels like it hasn't happened in the last couple of years. Or if they did try those things again, it just hasn't landed. Now, we all want RDJ, we all want Hugh Jackman, we want Chris Evans, we all want all these people to come back, but we don't want a spectacle of them coming, just a spectacle. We want them to come back for a good, solid reason, heartfelt, whatever you want to call it. And I think the only things that can help this genre and will help are things like reboots and resets, like what right now what the DCU is currently doing, with Superman being with the first official live action DCU content. They're saying, at least, that they're trying to prioritize quality over quantity, and they're only going to pass the movies and create the movies and TV shows that truly pass all, or have all the checks and I's dotted and whatnot. I think formats like TV, like prestige TV, sort of like The Boys and The Penguin, and even like animation like Invincible, where the animation isn't great, but the storytelling is amazing. The characters are very deep and very relatable, and it's just really exciting and experimental and grounded. Even, superhero flying through planets, and it's still more grounded to me than a lot of things that have come out in the last couple of years. The smaller scale helps a lot, like The Penguin, the standalone stories that really tell more of a character-driven story. They get to dive in a little more, get into the meat and potatoes, as they say, and they need creators that care more about the quantity and are willing to take risks and chances and try to fight against the machine, the studios and the investors, and try to push something that's not only going to make money, but that's also gonna make the audience go home or step out of the movie theater and think or feel reinvigorated or like just feel energized, and the way that we used to walk out of the movie theater and think, man, what if I was doing this, or what if they were here, or all these theories and imagination and daydreaming. I want to go back to that. I want to go back to the sincerity, to the optimism, over the spectacle, over the big CG punches, over the colors and the jokes and the quips and the woke and the not woke and all this stuff that's been just plaguing this genre. I just hope that we can get back there. And right now, with Superman coming out at the time of recording this video, and other DCU projects, other MCU projects like the Fantastic Four later on this month, I really hope that they capture what we lost, and if they don't capture it, I really hope that they're leaning more towards that, because without that, I don't think that this genre can survive in the same way that it has been. I'm not saying it's gonna die, because this genre won't die. Comic books have been around for a long time. Cartoons, animation, all this stuff has been around for a long time, and they're never gonna go away. It's just the same kind of event type, true film type excitement and adventurous and all this theory making. I just hope it comes back, and I think it will survive, and hopefully with these new movies and this new slate of new creators and new ideas, it brings us back just a little bit. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think the superhero genre is dead or is dying, or do you think maybe it's never been dead? It's just my opinion or a lot of other people's negative opinion. Let me know in the comments. I'd like to know what you think about this. And again, this is Max with OCD. Have a good day.